from the Chopper 8 view, too. This mosque is a couple levels to it, a couple stories, and as Steve mentioned, several rooms inside. So they're going room by room, checking for threats to see what's really happening there. And of course, we're waiting to find out exactly all those details. We do want to get you a traffic alert, an important note to mention here on the 805. So as we know, this is right off of the 805 at Balboa, and you see right there from the CHP Border Communications Center, that's the San Diego region, CHP saying 805 northbound and southbound off ramps at Balboa Avenue are shut down for an unknown duration due to police activity. Avoid the area. We've been mentioning that Balboa and 805, definitely not a place you want to try to drive to. They have it blocked off. So the off ramps, we're now getting confirmation north and south that these are closed. So this is at the 805.
Okay, we are getting some more information on the reunification location. It's going to be 4125 Hathaway Street. So if you are looking for your child or you're trying to be reunified, the location's 4125 Hathaway Street, and I know that Shannon Handy has more details on that. Let's check back in with her as well.
Yeah, we know, Shannon, the last time we checked with you, so many parents they're panicking. Now there's at least a reunification location, right?
Exactly, and it was important for San Diego police to get this information out. They flagged me down and they said, can you please share this? I mean, you can see a number of people waiting here. Some of these people actually were simply just walking and they were stopped in their tracks. So some of them are just trying to pass through, but a lot of the people you see in this crowd are parents or relatives or friends or people who know someone inside that mosque and want to get to their loved one. And again, I want to repeat this. I think this is just a way to make it easier for officers and for these families since this area is blocked off. You guys have said it a few times, but they want people, families of anyone inside that mosque to go to San Diego Claremont Adventist Church. It's 4125 Hathaway Street. So that's the new information we can share right now. And again, I know as we're reporting on this, there's still a lot of questions. We are still awaiting answers as to what exactly happened inside the mosque, if anyone was hurt, if there was in fact a shooting. But obviously you can see there's still a very large police presence. There seems to be more and more showing up. So we just wanted to make sure we got that on the air as soon as possible where that family reunification area is.
Where is it?
Oh, sorry. Someone's asking me.
For the school or for?
It's if you know anyone. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just talking to someone that's asking me a question. That's the address, 4125 Hathaway Street. It's the San Diego Claremont Adventist Church. And this is for anyone that's trying to reach a family member or someone inside the mosque. So that's where they want families to go.
My grandkids are in the Hebrew school across the street.
Okay.
So that's what I was wondering. If they had it
So but they were on lockdown, obviously, because of
Correct.
this. Did you get a call, a text?
It's through their parent app.
Okay.
Correct. Yes.
And I'm sure just like the fear of all these people, your heart just stops.
Well, it does. I lived close to Columbine when it happened. So this is something that, yeah, it hits you. And they're my grandkids. So, yeah, I put a call out to my church and to everybody I know, and I got people praying, standing at the line. I've got my hands raised, and I'm praying over this situation. I have to put it in God's hands, or I'll be a hot mess.
How old are your grandkids?
Soon to be 13 and 11.
And are they able to communicate with you?
My granddaughter has messaged me, and she said we are sheltering in place right now. I think we're safe.
Okay.
So they've got a plan, and they go through drills. I know this.
It's disheartening, though, to have to even go through the drills, and now you have to act it out in real life.
Right. So I just told her I'm here until you're in my arms safe, and I love you. And that's what we do, is we love. So
that's all you can do.
Huh? What was your name? Denise Flippin.
Thank you, Denise. I hope they're okay and that you get to
They will be.
With them.
They will be. I just pray for the person that's deranged enough to do this, that they can be stopped.
Yeah.
So,
well, let's hope you can get to your grandkids soon. So,
yeah, have a blessed day.
You as well. Thank you for speaking. So, I don't know, guys, am I still on the air with you?
Yeah,
I'm
we
not
got
sure.
you, Shannon. We were listening
There's a lot
to her,
of chaos over here. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So what happened there? Obviously live TV, but I was reporting back to you guys about where families should go. Someone came up to me and they wanted to know the address, and you heard from her right there. Her two grandkids are at the Jewish school, I believe, next door across the street. And there are plenty of others like her. I mean, let's pan over again to the crowd. Again, I mentioned earlier, you know, some of these people are simply trying to walk down the street, but some of these others are trying to get to someone that is associated with the mosque, or at least one of the schools nearby.
Right.
So it's just a scary situation. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. And I understand the fear, and especially in not knowing what exactly is going on.
Right.
But we do know, as you heard from that grandmother, that, you know, her grandchild is still able to communicate with her. Obviously, there's people in there with cell phones,
right.
So we are getting messages out that says we're fine, we're safe. But we, the media, we're still awaiting word on exactly what happened, if anyone was hurt or even worse. And yeah, we're just waiting like everyone else right now.
And
we do have that reunification
Right.
address right there on the screen there, 4125 Hathaway Street. And as far as the case and as far as police are concerned, the scene 7050 Ekstrom Avenue, according to STPD's latest tweet, is still active but contained. Those are the words that police are using right now. That witness, or that woman we just talked to, mentioned something about a potential suspect. We don't have those details confirmed right now, but we just know that this is an active scene, but they consider it contained at this point.
And yeah, when you hear, you know, from the grandmother that she's going to be there until she is able to hold her grandkids
Right.
in her arms and know that they're
Right.
safe, that's the thought of so many of those families, those parents, grandparents waiting there at that caution tape. I mean, you have that police tape blocking everything off because the police do need to do their jobs, but for so many, there's just the unknown. Is my kid okay? So we understand that can be nerve-wracking, but at least now we have a reunification location, a place for families to go to wait for word. If their kids are younger, obviously they don't have cell phones to contact them, but that could be a spot where you can hopefully get some more answers. It's the San Diego Claremont Seventh-day Adventist Church where people are gathering now to try to get back together with their kids that might be at that school or the school across the street. This is an area with several religious institutions. You heard the Hebrew school is right there. There's the Islamic Center with the Islamic school there at that mosque location. And there's, you know, the Seventh-day Adventist is now the reunification spot.
Right,
So.
and we're talking about the Islamic Center of San Diego here. There's a school inside there. In some of the pictures, you can see that there's a playground. We saw, you know, young kids hand in hand being led out with officers with guns. I mean, a very scary situation, I'm sure, for those kids, but they were led out in a calm manner, and it appeared that none of them were hurt from the videos that we were seeing, which was some good news. So hopefully the parents are able to reunify with their children here at 4125 Hathaway Street. We know that there are several roads in this area that are closed down. STPD telling people just to avoid this area. You saw that map there. This is the southwest corner of Balboa and 805. Balboa, a very busy stretch. Our station's not really too far from where this is at here. Our ground crews could even hear the sirens and everything as they were just making the short jaunt over to this location here. Again, an active shooter report is what this all started off as. At noon, officers swarmed this area at the Balboa Mosque there, the Islamic Center of San Diego, for an active shooter report. We don't know if shots were fired from officers or a potential suspect or suspects. Still trying to learn those details as well. But the good news is that we saw kids being let out in an orderly fashion, and that there's a reunification location now, 4125 Hathaway Street. We are still waiting on a media staging point. That's what's going to be coming up next year, and that's when we expect to learn more details about what led up to all of this here at noon.
And we have been on top of this since noon today when we first got word of this with Tori Apodaca there at the scene. And now Shannon, you saw Steve Price as well. Several crews from News 8 are there trying to get information for you because we know you have so many questions wondering what's happening here. You know, the Islamic Center of San Diego has about 5,000 members in its congregation. So do you want to point that out? There are hundreds of events that happen there yearly, prayer services daily, and the school. And it looks like it's at least a two-story building. building. Hard to tell from this chopper view, but it does seem to be a rather large mosque. Nearby it, right across from the mosque right there is another larger extension, it looks like, of the Islamic Center. So, you know, there are several rooms that officers do need to go through to make sure this whole area is safe. But to hear from their tweet that pointed out it's contained, I'm not sure exactly what that means, but that's the latest that we're getting. So we're trying to gather all that information that we know so many of you are asking.
We have crews on the ground. I know Steve Price is working on an interview. I'm not sure if it's with a witness or a parent or potentially even an officer, but we are hoping to get a briefing from San Diego Police as soon as we can. So why don't we check in with Steve Price? Steve, who do you have there?
So I'm at Exerman Cosmo, which is just across the street from where the mosque is located. And this is Andre. Andre lives in the area. He's retired and was home around noon. And Andre, tell me what you heard right around noon.
We were having lunch and I heard at least a dozen shots. They sounded like from a semi-automatic weapon. And then there was a pause. And then another dozen shots, and again a pause, and probably another dozen, so maybe around 30 shots. That's what we heard. Then I called 911 and reported the incident. They asked me if I saw a car speeding away from the mosque, which I didn't because I was inside the house.
Understandably, you didn't want to come outside at that point. You could tell these were not firecrackers. This was not some kind of a joke. This was a serious situation.
Yes, definitely sounded like gunshots. And we were concerned and putting our heads down inside the house.
And so then about how quickly did it take before you started hearing the sirens and the officers started showing up? Were they, here instantly?
A few minutes after my call, I would say about 5 to 10 minutes after my call, I heard the sirens. And at the same time, the helicopter was here.
And at that point, they had already said to you, did you see a car speeding away? And what you had heard maybe there was possibly a chase on the 805?
This we found later on online that apparently there was a chase of a black SUV on 805.
And that's still information we are waiting to confirm, but definitely a scary situation here for Andre, just sitting home, having lunch. He's retired, hanging out. Here's what he says there's, a dozen shots or so, then a pause, then another dozen shots, possibly 30 total. And then, Andre, you also saw, I was telling folks at home, the kids coming out. It's just a heartbreaking scene as we're watching these young children coming out.
That's right. We were all concerned about the kids in the school. Apparently the kids are okay. I didn't see any distressed kids. They're actually looked amused in an orderly fashion, evacuated from the Balboa side first and then from the front of the mosque. So that was a relief in everybody's mind.
Since you live around here, you know probably a little bit more about the mosque than most of us do. Pretty popular school, a lot of kids attend, busy?
Yes, the mosque has been expanding with time. It's very busy on Fridays for the prayers during Ramadan. It gets very congested here. It's a good thing that it didn't happen on a Friday, because all the streets would be full of people and it would have been much more difficult than what it is today.
And you haven't seen ambulances leaving in a hurry, or there's no reason to believe, we have no idea at this point, victims or any information. You haven't heard anything about that either, have you?
I found out through online sources that 2 people are dead.
All right, well, that we haven't, we got to wait to confirm that. But not, from what you've seen and what you've heard,
no.
Nothing so far.
I did not see, but yeah, I did find out that the guard was shot in the head, and there's another victim.
All right, and we're going to continue to try to get more information from police. As you can see behind me, officers still arriving here on the scene. The situation seems to be calm, though, that they have now cleared out the mosque area. So hopefully we will be hearing from law enforcement very soon, getting the official information. We want to make sure that we have correct information that we're putting out there, because this is a very scary situation. A lot of parents out here just trying to figure out where their kids are. Fortunately, we've been able to get that information out there, but it's trickling to these parents and a very frustrating, time-consuming situation for them. Eric, we'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Steve, thank you.
Steve,
it's the school at the Islamic Center of San Diego. We want to clarify that first. And we can also tell you that the school district has had some schools on lockdown. Some of those lockdowns have been lifted, but the schools that are closest to the mosque here will be the last to have those lifted.
Right. There are several schools in that area. So the Hebrew school is across the street from the Islamic Center of San Diego. We heard that one also on lockdown, according to a grandmother who's waiting for her grandkids to come out. So you're seeing the location, the kids to come out. So you're seeing the location, the reunification location right there. That's where families are being advised to go to be able to see their kids or hear how their kids are doing. The Islamic Center, as we heard, has a school there, the Al Rashid School. And the center itself, the mosque there, has been around for decades here in San Diego. Thousands of members in this congregation.
Yeah, largest in the county.
Yeah, it's a large center, immigrants, refugees, big pillar of the Muslim community here in San Diego, where so many families gather and come together in prayer at that site.
And that witness that Steve Price was just interviewing was the first person to confirm that they did hear shots fired. He heard a dozen shots fired. He told Steve it paused for a brief moment, then he claims that he heard another dozen shots, so as many as 30 shots. There were other things that the witness said that we are still trying to independently confirm from San Diego police about an alleged shooter. We're waiting on those details. As soon as we learn them, we will let you know. We have crews on this breaking story on the ground, our newsroom making calls. We will stay on top of this and bring you every detail that we get.
Yeah, right now we're going to take a quick break here, but don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we will have all the latest on this breaking news. So keep it here. We'll return in just a few minutes.
Welcome into CBS News 24/7. I'm Elizabeth Cook. We are following two big breaking news stories right now out of Southern California. The first, a fast-moving wildfire that's threatening homes and forcing evacuations in Simi Valley. That's in Ventura County. But first, I want to go back to San Diego, where there is a heavy police presence at the Islamic Center of San Diego, following reports of an active shooter. Let's get right to CBS News correspondent Chanel Call. Chanel, what do we know right now?
Yeah, certainly a scary situation that we're keeping a close eye on. We've got chopper over the scene, and I want to show you what it looks like just outside the Islamic Center of San Diego, where all of this is unfolding this hour. You can see there are multiple police cars on the scene, probably over 50 police vehicles. They're responding to a call about a reported active shooter. We have local crews on the ground as well from KFMB. They were speaking to people on the ground, including a nearby resident who just told our crew there that they heard up to 30 gunshots and then called police. Listen to more of that conversation.
So I'm at Exerman Cosmo, which is just across the street from where the mosque is located. And this is Andre. Andre lives in the area. He's retired and was home around noon. And Andre, tell me what you heard right around noon.
We were having lunch and I heard at least a dozen shots. They sounded like from a semi-automatic weapon. And then there was a pause. And then another dozen shots, and again a pause, and probably another dozen, so maybe around 30 shots. That's what we heard. Then I called 911 and reported the incident. They asked me if I saw a car speeding away from the mosque, which I didn't because I was inside the house.
Understandably, you didn't want to come outside at that point. You could tell these were not firecrackers. This was not some kind of a joke. This was a serious situation.
Yes, definitely sounded like gunshots. And we were concerned and putting our heads down inside the house.
And so then, about how quickly did it take before you started hearing the sirens and the officers started showing up? Were they, here instantly?
A few minutes after my call, I would say about 5 to 10 minutes after my call, I heard the sirens. And at the same time, the helicopter was here.
And at that point, they had already said to you, did you see a car speeding away? And what you had heard maybe there was possibly a chase on the 805?
This we found later on online, that apparently there was a chase of a black SUV on 805.
And that's still information we are waiting to confirm, but definitely a scary situation here for Andre, just sitting home, having lunch. He's retired, hanging out. Here's what he says there's, a dozen shots or so, then a pause, then another dozen shots, possibly 30 total. And then, Andre, you also saw, I was telling folks at home, the kids coming out. It's just a heartbreaking scene as we're watching these young children coming out.
That's right. We're all concerned about the kids in the school. Apparently the kids are okay. I didn't see any distressed kids. They were actually looked amused in an orderly fashion, evacuated from the Balboa side first and then from the front of the mosque. So that was a relief in everybody's mind.
Since you live around here, you know probably a little bit more about the mosque than most of us do. Pretty popular school, a lot of kids attend, busy.
Yes, the mosque has been expanding with time. It's very busy on Fridays for the prayers during Ramadan. It gets very congested here. It's a good thing that it didn't happen on a Friday, because all the streets would be full of people and it would have been much more difficult than what it is today.
And you haven't seen ambulances leaving in a hurry, or there's no reason to believe, we have no idea at this point, victims or any information. You haven't heard anything about that either, have you?
I found out through online sources that 2 people are dead.
All right, well, that we haven't, we got to wait to confirm that. But from what you've seen and what you've heard,
No.
Nothing so far.
I did not see, but yeah, I did find out that the guard was shot in the head, and there's another victim.
All right, and we're going to continue to try to get more information from police.
All right, so if you were just joining us right now, once again, we were listening to part of a conversation with our local crew on the scene, KFMB, speaking with a nearby resident there, talking about what they saw and what they heard in the last hour or so. Again, that neighbor saying they apparently heard up to 30 gunshots. We're still waiting to understand more about what happened from police. They've not confirmed whether shots were fired, if anyone was injured. There are still so many questions, but let's walk you through what we know right now. I want to bring you to my computer here so you can see this is a post from San Diego's mayor. And they write here, I'm aware of the active shooter situation at the Islamic Center of San Diego and Claremont, and I'm continuing to receive updates from law enforcement. Emergency personnel are on the scene and actively working to protect the community and secure the area. So you can see the timestamp here. That was just about an hour or so ago. And also want to tell you a bit more about the Islamic Center of San Diego as we wait to learn more about the actual moments that led up to this perimeter around the center. This is where it is. It's about 20 minutes north of the airport there in San Diego. And I can actually show you some photos here so you get a sense of what it looks like on the inside. This is a pretty massive complex. There are reportedly about 5,000 members who use this facility. It's large. It is a prayer facility. There are some gathering spaces there. There are multiple different facilities inside the complex. There's also a full-time Islamic school. And that's important to note because you heard that local resident that our crew was talking to there talk about the kids being escorted out of the school. So that's what he was talking about there. As for what's happening on the ground right now, I don't know if we can pull up some real-time images to show you, again, that massive police presence there. There we have it. Still unclear, again, whether shots were fired, if anyone was injured, but this is being described as an active shooter situation. I'll bring you back to my computer screen for another moment here if I can to show you the latest that we have from the San Diego Police Department. They just sent out a note just a couple of moments ago, maybe about 20 minutes ago, that is, and they say the scene is still active but contained. We have significant resources on scene at this time. And also important to note here, they say they've established a reunification location at this address, 4125 Hathaway Street, which, by the way, is a nearby church. So it's not just the Islamic school that there is concern about. This is an area with a lot of other schools as well, including a Hebrew school. So this is going to be the place where any concerned parents can reunite with their children. We also understand that Governor Gavin Newsom is being briefed on this in real time. So we're waiting for, any kind of update from police at this point or any authorities in California as well.
Chanel, thank you so much for that update. We're going to check back in with you when we get a little bit more information, but thanks so much. All right, I want to get to the other breaking news story that we're following. A wind-driven wildfire forcing people out of their homes right now, also in Southern California. The flames broke out near homes in Simi Valley, which is in Ventura County. You can see that fire just consume everything in its path, from brush to entire homes and buildings. Let's get right to coverage from CBS News Los Angeles.
We do know that in talking to Simi Valley police, someone did call in saying that around 10:30 this morning, they were working out there with a tractor. That tractor hit a rock and sparked this fire that has now grown into 184 plus acres.